Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we come with another discussion video because this week Kevin Feige has announced that he wants to reboot the MCU starting with Secret Wars. Avengers supposed to be released. If you watched our previous video about our superheroes becoming too OP for the big screen, we had mentioned about Secret Wars coming out in 2027. That is supposed to include some of these amazingly ultra powerful characters. Well, Kevin Feige has announced that he wants to reboot the universe starting with Secret Wars.
What was so did he have a quote, or was there just like insider info?
So he did discuss what his thoughts were going to be in a very generalized, like it would be a soft reboot, right? And I'll put it this way, guys. I've tried this because we since we're not in the same location, we go through StreamYards. I've tried to put the articles up and stuff, and it just doesn't work. It looks annoying. I'm going to do it in post, so I'll have the article up here as I'm talking about it. So don't worry about that, guys. But so what he'd said is that it's getting to the point where Marvel has too many movies. So for newer viewers coming into this universe now, they don't want to go back and watch 20 movies deep to figure out what's going on. So he wants to reboot the universe so that way you can attract new, younger people to it. And they're not like, oh, I got to watch 30 movies to catch up so I know what's going on or who these characters are. So it will be a soft reboot as opposed to what James Gunn's doing over in the DCU, which is a complete gutting and revisualization of the DCU, as it will be called. So gotcha. I don't know. I'm concerned, but then I'm a little hopeful. It depends what they do, right?
Yeah, I found another article that was talking about Joanna Robinson, who is an author of one of the books, the MCU Reign of Marvel Studios. Apparently, she was on a podcast, and I guess it's called The Watch. And she had a quote from her was, we have a quote from Kevin Feige sort of implying that like Secret Wars will serve as a soft reboot in which they can prune everything. And that's not to use a Lokiism. They'll prune everything that's not working and just keep what is working or bring back people you thought were gone forever. It's okay. So it's that last line that worries the shit out of me.
Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. When you said the prune, I immediately went to Loki. I was like, "Oh, they're gonna prune it." So that was funny that they had to call it out. That nope, we're not talking about that. And so what that says to me, because I didn't read that one. There was a video that I watched that was posted that said about Kevin Feige and doing this. So what that got me with that last sentence was basically, we fucked up. These movies where we took it aren't making money, so now we need to bring back Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. as Captain America and Iron Man and get our moneymakers back. That's what that sounds like.
Yes. And that's what that worries me. Like, it really does. Like, hopefully that's not what happens. It would not surprise me that that's what they want to do, but I don't want to take it into an area that's like, there's so many other options you have to take this in a direction, but it's like, keep what's working. Okay, what's working? What the hell is working?
Right now in the MCU, not a whole lot.
Yeah, what the hell is working? I just don't know. To me, it seems like everything's like a fucking floating dumpster fire. So I don't know what is gonna work. And like I said, that's what when she mentioned bring back people you thought were gone forever. I'm just like,
now I think because so you gotta remember too, Avengers Secret Wars is slated for 2027. Okay, you're talking close to 4 years from now. Okay, yeah. Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr. These people are probably going to be too old to continue to play these characters or even want to play these characters. So I don't think necessarily they're going to bring them back to get a crash grab, but I think you are going to see Captain America come back, just like a new, younger version, right? A new, younger Iron Man. I think they're going to like reboot those characters just with different actors. Now, that's two very difficult characters to do that. That's like trying to reboot Wolverine. The person
Mhm.
who's going to replace Hugh
That's
Jackman is going to be under such scrutiny
this
that
is this is what makes me think that the like they mentioned that you said the Secret Wars is going to be quote unquote the end of the MCU as we know it, right? That's what they're going to use as their soft reboot. I could totally see them bringing back Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, these characters that have died in Secret Wars, and use that as that soft reboot, right? Like that's where they're going. You may see those characters come back in Secret Wars,
yeah, but for
and then
how
that's
long?
would yeah, exactly. I mean, a cameo here and there. I don't, whatever. But like full on center of the movie type stuff, and I don't know. Like again, maybe Secret Wars they're going to go full heavy into Iron Man. Iron Man's a popular character, very popular. So, I mean, he was one of the central characters throughout all of the MCU, up until Endgame, right?
He and Captain
Like,
America held up the MCU, right? They were
right,
the two
yeah,
that people wanted to see. No offense to Thor, but a lot of people found the movies like this. Whereas Captain America had stable. Like I feel like, well, I don't want to say
yeah,
two because I felt like one was good, two was amazing, three was still good, but it included a lot of other characters. But two was my favorite. Winter Soldier, hands down. So I think like the best movie in the MCU. But um,
yeah. And I want to
you
read
know
a
that.
quote here. Yeah, I want to read a quote here from this article that I'm reading, because it states Secret Wars will celebrate all past Marvel movies. It says a trusted scooper, and this person's name is Can We Get Some Toast, which I really like that handle. Previously stated that Secret Wars will serve as the send off to not only the current MCU but all Marvel movies that came before Iron Man. It's the ultimate soft reboot, and then suggested that Feige would pull inspiration from all new, all different Marvel era for the next phase of the MCU. So his the comments that are the article that you saw of him making those, and then this other author, I'm sure again Marvel probably tells their authors when they're writing these stories like this is the direction we're going, kind of fit into that narrative. So it's very possible that's exactly what they're going to do.
Now, here's my other problem with that, right? It's Kevin Feige, right? So I trust he's going to do
Yes.
things
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm. I don't
Okay,
know,
so let's,
man.
let's give that
Is this is I don't know. And is this the same Kevin Feige? Is this the same person that made the Ghostbusters film?
the 2016 with all the women.
Yeah, yeah.
So moving
Keep
on.
talking. Let me
so
let
so
me
moving
find
on.
out.
No, no, you don't need to look it up. Don't look it up. It's fine. It's fine. Don't. It's
Because if it is, I'm gonna be
don't.
okay. It's
It's
not.
it's
It's
no.
Paul Feig. Feig.
Um,
I was getting them mixed up.
but
We're
it doesn't
fine.
matter. So,
We're fine.
but Kevin Feige. I mean, honestly, whatever. Like, you trust him enough, just like James Gunn, to at least because you can tell he's passionate about what he's doing, right? Um, as long as they
Yeah.
give him the leeway, and you're starting with a soft reboot. So if you watched the previous video when we talked about characters becoming too OP, our bigger focus was the Marvel, right? Because they've gone so far into Celestials. Secret Wars technically brings in Beyonder and all of this. So if you're using that as a soft reboot, like that's going to end the current MCU and it will rebirth the new MCU, basically, or whatever they decide to call it. Um,
Mhm.
I'm a little disappointed because I wanted to see more of the Celestials Galactus style, but I kind of wonder if maybe they're taking it that route. If they realize they what we talked about in the last video, they went a little too far, and now it's difficult to make movies on a lower level like Hawkeye type movies or uh, you know hell even another Spider-Man movie because Tom Holland I think is now signed on for like 6, right? So how do you make that when you
You know,
got a planet-sized person just looking at you?
I completely agree. There's also a bunch of different things that are going to come into play here because right now we're in the middle of this strike in Hollywood, right? That they realize the writers are full of shit and don't know what they're doing. They're
They're
woke
out of
leftists,
touch
and
with their audiences. Well, the last article I was reading
yes,
about it was like they're out of touch with their audience.
yeah, and they're scared. They're so scared that AI is going to replace them. I don't think AI can replace a good writer, but AI can totally replace these idiots that are writing this garbage. Like, and they should be scared for their job because I mean, it's not hard. Again, it's not the fact that they're not putting effort into it. It's not like I don't believe these writers are just slacking. It's that they're putting their effort in the wrong places. Like you said, the people that watch these movies and these shows don't want to be dictated to. They just don't. And if they're going to continue down the same line of what we've seen in the past 4 or 5 movies that the MCU's released, I just don't know. Like, I don't know how it's going to go.
And I'm going to say this: we aren't that type of channel. We're not. We don't. We do mention wokeness here and there because we see it injected into some of our favorite things. But we're not a politicized channel. We're not going to go into all that kind of stuff. But it's the same thing you're seeing with Disney right now with Snow White and all of that's going on there, right?
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
It's either you stick to the source material that you're basing all of this on, or you create something new. Like,
Mhm.
if you don't want to stick to the source material that these writers in the comics and all this created, and even with Stan Lee and all this, then make your own thing. Don't destroy something because you want to push an agenda or you want to do something or you just say, "Hey, we need to modernize this." No, it's been
Right.
this way. Leave it as
And it's
is.
not right.
If
It's
you
not
don't,
just us, right? Like, it's not just me and you.
yeah,
Like, it's clear by the numbers of the box office numbers, by the viewing on the various streaming networks. It's very clear what the audience is interested in watching, and it's not the garbage that we've been getting. So,
because that's
you
the
know,
thing. Like, I'll give it to you if you release these movies and, like, again, especially if you lean into the Beyonder and everything with Secret Wars, and it goes over a lot of people's heads, right? They're like, "That's too much. That's okay. We're going a little too far. I'd rather see another good Captain America movie." I get it. And then you make a decision. Okay, well, maybe we just don't put this out because it's just, again, it's a little too grandiose for the big screen. But to just put
mhm.
out this movie after movie or TV show after TV show that just undermines everything that you had started building that was great, because I'm obviously a bigger DC fan than I am Marvel, but I give props to Marvel how they did the MCU in the beginning, right? It was great.
Mhm.
Even leading up to Infinity War and Endgame, and even with Black Panther, we did. If you haven't seen our Black Panther reaction, it's two-parter because, like, I didn't watch the movie, and I know Mantis didn't until we both watched it on the channel here with you guys because we were
Yeah,
worried it was going to this, and we watched it. And it was great. It's a great movie. If you haven't
yeah,
seen it yet, go watch it. If you were like us and was worried, no, it's actually they did a really really good
it's
job.
good.
Um,
No,
but up until here, the last, like you said, the last 4 or 5 movies, everything's been going great. You had a great formula. Why do you
yeah,
seem dead set on just destroying it?
and I'll bring it back to kind of what they could possibly do as my last point for this video. Um, Recently, or I will say, when the MCU initially launched, Sony still had rights to Spider-Man, X-Men, those type of those properties, right? Those IPs. With the MCU or Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox, they have rights back to X-Men, mutants, and Spider-Man, or
And
what is it?
Fantastic
The
Four, right? Fantastic Four, they
yeah,
got them.
Marvel's first family. Like, I can see the soft reboot and then going into some X-Men type stuff, which I know we talked about in one of our past videos about the top 5. I completely forgot about Marvel, and one of my favorite characters in all of Marvel is Gambit from X-Men. And I I really want to see,
Now,
if they redid, you know,
say what you will about X-Men, the Wolverine, the original X-Men Wolverine movie. I liked Gambit in that. I thought even the actor who played him, I like it. It was slick, like it was smooth. Like I liked Gambit in that. It was so exciting to see Gambit in that. As much as that movie was still pretty rough,
it was rough.
Especially with the Deadpool thing.
Yeah,
I'm glad at the end of Deadpool 2, spoiler if you haven't seen it, he goes back and takes care of that issue.
Hey, it's me. Don't scratch.
But it was rough, but I loved seeing Gambit in that. That was great. That was the first time we've seen a live action, and I thought he did great. I thought he would have been great. That was another letdown.
Hopefully that if they're gonna soft reboot it, that they lean in, because they just did purchase those. Like, you don't just purchase those things for no reason, right? Like you're planning on doing something with them, hopefully. And I think if you want to do a soft reboot of the Marvel MCU, include a really good X-Men and First Family type thing. Like, man, that would be good. Like, it really would. I want to see, because like I grew up in the 90s, a child of the 90s. I was born in the 80s, but really a child of the 90s. And the X-Men animated series, I had the Night of the Sentinels I bought from fucking McDonald's.
Yes,
for
it came in a
Happy Meal.
Fucking Happy Meal. The Night of the Sentinels, which is the first, if you've never seen the X-Men cartoon, the original animated series from like 94, the Night of the Sentinels is the first X-Men episode out of that. Like, it was great. It came in a Happy Meal. It was the greatest thing ever.
Awesome.
Loved it. I had it on that VHS.
It was a VHS and it had a black sleeve. You can get different ones. I mean, it came with several different ones. Gambit is, again, I just tend to go with Gambit, but I do like all of those, the old X-Men the X-Men animated series. They could do, they could lean into that a little bit more. I would be fine with that. Rebooting some of the X-Men stuff with a new lean on it. I'd be fine with that.
Well, and I would love to see reboot it separately, but at the same time, because you haven't really done a successful Fantastic Four franchise, but you need them because one of the most powerful characters in all of the Marvel realms, he's not up in our top 5 powerful, but he's pretty close, is Franklin Richards, which is Reed Richards and Sue Storm's child.
Son.
He's one of the most powerful, but also you bring in one of the most powerful villains and also an integral part in dealing with the Beyonders with Molecule Man and everything that we discussed on the another previous video is Doctor Doom, who's never been represented right. So what you could do is you could start these different areas like X-Men, Fantastic Four over here, and then do the crossover, right?
Yes.
Which would be awesome. Bring them in for almost an Avengers level, except now you're going well above that right now, because we brought in X-Men, we brought in Fantastic Four, we've got Spider-Man, we got Deadpool over here, because I know they're talking about bringing Deadpool into the MCU. So at least for, again, by the time Secret Wars and everything happens, I mean, Ryan Reynolds is over 40 years old. Yeah, he's still in great shape and, everything else like that. But it's going to get to the point where he's like, I can't play fucking Deadpool anymore. Can't get into the suit without my background. And so I don't know. It's an exciting time, but then again, like, what I just don't want to do is see a reboot and then, hey, we brought back Iron Man and Captain America, and it's a reboot of just your money makers, right? Like, give me some new stuff.
Yeah.
Take it in a new direction. So,
I mean, and again, I'll just, the last point here, Secret Wars is currently scheduled to hit theaters May 7th, 2027. They've got plenty of time to figure this out. I don't even know if they started shooting. That's
nope.
Yeah, so that's long. That's 4 years or so. They've got plenty of time to figure this out and make it good. So let's hope they do.
I don't know if they're waiting for this writer strike to end, but for me, you know what, guys? If you're watching this video and you've made it this far with us, like, I feel like anybody watching this video could come up with some better storylines than what they're coming up with right now, right? So, like, maybe we all chip in and we say, hey, we need a fan-driven movies. And don't get me wrong. Okay, I know this is us bashing on Marvel, but it's because what Kevin Feige said, right? DC's in the same boat, right? You need to get in touch with your fan base and let us decide. We will come up with a good movie and some games because you can't make a fucking Superman game either. I'll give you did the Arkham series, great, but we, us as fans, let's all come together and make some storylines and send them over to Disney or Marvel. Hopefully, they still at least remain somewhat separated from one another because God, what they're doing with Disney right now, I just don't want to see come to the MCU.
No, I agree.
And same thing though with Warner Brothers. We need to help them out because apparently they're just not getting it what we want to see from these characters. So,
yep.
All right, guys. We want to keep these a little bit shorter, just because with this just being over the news that came out here, I will have the articles displayed here for you that we've been discussing, but we don't want to drone on for another 45, 50 minutes because if you have watched our previous videos, you know that'll happen. Okay, so if you've made it all the way through here with us, we do appreciate it. Definitely go check out some of our other content, and we've got some more coming up with discussions and some more of the Arrow content that we have on there. So consider giving this video a like, subscribing. It definitely helps us out as far as building this channel because we love doing this. We love bringing this kind of content to you. And then, if there's also something else that you want to see us discuss, or let us know down in the comments. And then let us know what you thought about what you think about the Marvel reboot, your hopes and dreams and fears of it. Just of it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to give actually your hopes and dreams and fears in real life.
Not of everything.
Yeah.
No, not of everything. I don't care. Honestly.
Well, and you don't want to know ours either. That might scare you. So, let's just stick it to the happy note of just the MCU here. So, Mantis, unless you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right, guys. We will catch you in the next video.
Later.